I am coming to you live from Melbourne, Australia. I happened to get a chance to come down here, and that's why we're starting late today. But welcome. Glad to have you join me. I am excited to once again bring you some great information for Marriage Focus Friday. My name is Teresa DeWitt. I am the author of Less Conflict, More Joy, and it's available on Amazon. I also have an online course as well as I do marriage coaching, and this is part of what I do. So today I'm going to talk about two different types of conflict. These conflict the conflict that we're talking about today, one is emotional conflict. It comes in from how we feel, perceived issues, things that we, control issues, those things. The other one is physical. It's physical issues that can lead to conflict. Let's talk about the physical. That one's a little bit easier to kind of sort out. Physical types of conflict have to do with a person who's maybe needs some food. They're a little bit hungry, or maybe it's a some your partner hasn't had enough rest and they're just not as emotionally stable. They're a little more on edge because they're just so tired. Desire for physical intimacy can lead to some conflict, and that is a physical desire. It's a we're geared to make babies, and when our bodies create a desire in us to want to make more, to make babies, and part of that is having the method is having sex in order to do it, unless you do IVF all the time, but we'll pass on that one. So when we talk about physical issues, this is one type of conflict we're going to talk about today. The physical issues, whether it's a need for food or a need for rest, sleep, or it's a need for sex. Those are things that can create a situation in your home that is less than desirable, right? Let me give you a story. So my daughter's fiance came home from work. I happened to be around because I was helping watch the little baby, and he came home from work, didn't have a ton of time, and got busy with something else during his lunch hour. And on his way out the door, he grabbed like just like a half a bag of chips. Not really enough food for this wiry young man who burns a lot of calories during his day at work. He was training to be a plumber at the time. So it was no surprise to me when later on that night, my daughter told me that he and she had had a big blowout. Well, the kid needed some calories. And sometimes you can anticipate this potential for conflict in your home, recognizing that maybe your husband or maybe one of your kids or somebody, they've had a long day, and you know that they're going to be a little hypoglycemic. They're going to need some calories to feel a little bit better about life. And it's amazing what a sandwich can do for a guy and their mood and their emotions. So that's one type of physical conflict that you can preempt. You can avoid the conflict by preempting it, realizing that I'm not going to bring up anything difficult until I get some food in his mouth, until I get some food in her belly. And then I'll talk about whatever those things are, because I know that they tend to be less amenable, less easy to get along with when they're hungry. Okay, so that's one type of physical conflict that you can avoid by thinking, oh, let's get some food on the table and then we'll have a better evening together. Okay, number two, here's another thing. It is an issue with desire. Ladies, I'm going to be straightforward with you. Your man likes to have sex, and his body is geared to make babies. Physiologically, his he has a desire and a need and a physical issue when he does not have sex on a regular basis. if it's been 2 weeks and your man is really grumpy, it's been 2 weeks since you guys had a little time in the bedroom together, and your man is really grumpy and irritable, you might change things up real easily by spending a little time alone together physically, intimately. That intimacy is super important, and that's a physical issue. That when you don't meet that need on a regular basis, it can lead to conflict. So, in order to avoid that issue, get to know your husband's rhythm. Not every guy's a everyday kind of guy. Not every guy needs to, be busy, every 3 days or 4 days. Some guys can go a week, 2 weeks, whatever. But you'll kind of get to understand his rhythm, and when you do, and you start to see that he's grumbly or just not his normal happy self, it might be because his body is talking to him. So that's a physical issue. Another thing can just be exhaustion. I know I can get that way. I personally really, I'm burning myself at both ends, or burning that candle at both ends. I don't know how that works exactly, but must be like you hold it like this and it's burning from this side and burning from that side. Anyway, so sometimes I just need some rest. And for me, now let's talk about it from the other perspective. You can think about how can I help avoid conflict by meeting my partner's needs, but maybe sometimes you just need to look at your own needs, like, and say, I know that I haven't had very many calories today. I am not going to be the most pleasant partner tonight. So let me get some food in me so that I can be more relaxed and I can meet my physical needs, and I'll be less inclined to be in conflict or in any kind of duress in your home. The second thing is, let's say it's been a while since you have been intimate with your partner, and you're kind of feeling the itch, and it's kind of making you a little irritated. Set the tone, light the candles, let the guy know that, hey, it's happening tonight. And maybe you can help yourself feel more relaxed. Or maybe, like, as I was saying, for me, I know when I have really been burning the candle on both ends. And I know when I need to get some rest, because I'm just not the same happy self when I'm exhausted. So those are some physical things, the exhaustion. It could be food and calories, hypoglycemic kind of reactions. Or the third thing could be a desire, a physical desire for intimacy. Those are three kind of physical things. But let's talk about the other side, the second source of conflict that you might find happens in your home, and this is an emotional conflict. It's a more of a psychological kind of thing. It's not a physical intimacy or physical not intimacy. It's a physical issue, and not one thing is physical, but this one is like kind of a mental issue. There are things that are going on in your head and in your interpersonal reactions to the other person. One big thing is security. All right, you or your partner may have a big need for security. And one of the needs for security is knowing that the money is going to come in the door to pay the rent or the mortgage at the end of the month. And that's a big need. And if you don't have that kind of security in your life, that can lead to stressful conflicts about money, about just every little tiny thing. Um, Money can lead to so many issues. And when your money is not under control, when your spending is more than what you're coming in, there can be conflict there. That security issue is in play at this point. You don't feel secure. You don't feel like your finances are secure. Let me recommend to you Dave Ramsey. You can do a search. I talk about it a lot in my online course and in the book, and all the tools that Dave Ramsey has for financial management. Another issue with security can be security in your relationship between the two of you. How secure is your partner feeling? when your partner doesn't feel secure in your relationship, again, this is a feeling thing. It's not a physical thing, it's a feeling, an intellectual or something in your mind. They can act out in controlling ways. If your partner feels like let's say, or let's say let's talk about yourself. Let's say you were in a relationship and your partner cheated on you. So you may have this kind of security issue in you where you feel like you're never not sure if you can trust him or not. Or he could have the same thing with you. You know, one of the best things you can do to alleviate that is to be an open book. Totally an open book. Just say, here's my phone, here are my passwords. Look anytime. I have nothing to hide. I had that experience in my first marriage. My first husband was very insecure. He had a lot of security issues with our relationship because I traveled all the time. And, flight attendants, we have this I don't know, shouldn't say, we have, listen, it's not all true. I'll just say that. But he had some insecurity issues. So he was asking me to do things like, can you call me at the end of every night when you get to your hotel room? He was wanted to know my passwords. Wanted to know my flight schedule, who I was flying with. And at first, I was really rattled and frustrated and stuff that he would want to know all this stuff and want me to call him all the time. I mean, I literally, when I first was married to him, I had to get off the plane. This is before cell phones, this is before we had these guys with us. I would have to get off the plane in between every leg. We would have maybe 10 to 15 minutes of downtime while they clean the aircraft before new people would come on. It was when I was flying 4 and 5 legs a day. It was like for this commercial, big, large commercial airline. And he would want me to get off the plane in the 10, 15 minutes that I had to myself to get off the plane, go find a payphone and call him. It drove me nuts. But what I found is that when I did the things that he asked me to do, which is to call him at night on layovers, let him know all my passwords, let it, just open book. Because I was not hiding anything. I had nothing to hide except for my pride of like, why do I need to prove that I'm faithful to you? Well, you're not proving it, you're just being faithful. You're letting him know those passwords. You're letting him look at any of your text messages or your emails or any of your messenger chats or Snapchat or whatever you're doing. Be an open book with your partner because that alleviates so many issues of insecurities. It is so much easier. And then that person like backs off and they go, "Oh, that's good. Yeah. It's all copacetic. She's doing what she says she's doing." Let me give you another issue with that. If you're married and your girlfriends are going out for a drink, or one of your friends who aren't married is having a bachelorette party, ladies, don't go out looking like you are available, right? Let your single girlfriends have all the, get them attention. Make sure the cleavage is, don't wear the super short skirts. You're married. You should look. No, I'm not asking you to look like a old school marm or something like that. What I'm asking you to do is what am I asking you to do? I want you to be demure. I want you to be conservative. And I'm not even thinking of the right word right now, but you do not need to show all your assets, okay? If you're going out with the girls. Maybe all your girlfriends are wearing the heels and the short skirts and lots of cleavage. But if you're married, let those single girls have the attention and you just go along to support your girlfriend. All right, just throwing that out there. All right, so I talked about physical needs, and now I'm starting to talk about the emotional needs that can lead to conflict in a relationship. So, one emotional need can be security, it can be financial security, it can be interpersonal relationship security, like, does he trust you? Do you trust him? So, another thing that can be an issue. I'm looking at my notes here. Is a need for significance. And this is something that is a little harder to it's a little harder to preempt. And that is something like if your man is unemployed or underemployed, he may be feeling like he's not a provider in your relationship. And that can cause some conflict, some drama, some things that he doesn't even know is going on in his life. But one thing that you can do is build him up with your words. If your man is unemployed or underemployed, do not harp on him. He knows it. Okay? He knows that he is not bringing bread to the table, so to speak. But what you can still do is encourage him. You can say, "I know that you have what it takes to get that job. I totally believe in you. Can you help him with his resume? What are things that you can do and say that will encourage him? Pray with him before he goes out for that interview. Pray with him, like let's say I talked with a friend of mine who has lost. I think I mentioned this a few times ago, but a friend of mine who has uh, lost a number of jobs in succession, and he started to have this like insecurity about his ability to keep a job. And when I was talking with him, he was talking about having a mindset of gratitude, and starting with that. And so I'm kind of doing a little aside here, but if you are somehow feeling insecure about something that you're involved in, like your work, for instance, like, gosh, this is over my head, I'm never going to get it. Or, I can't believe I'm so afraid I'm going to get fired. Or those kind of fears are, if you walk in with those fears to work, it's going to really mess with your head and can actually lead to a problem. Excuse me a second. I'm working on kind of not very much sleep. I just came in from San Francisco to Australia. Anyway, so start with gratitude. Be grateful for your job. Be grateful for the skills that got you your job. Be grateful for your boss that saw the skills that got you the job. Be grateful for the well and be grateful for the money that you're making from the job that you have, and the skills that you acquired, and the boss who saw your skills, and the resume or the advertisement that got you. Just go, keep on going back in your gratitude. It can really make a difference, right? So I am confident that some of these tips are going to be helpful to you. If you're finding that some of these are helpful, give me a heart, throw some things. I know I'm just getting started with all this, and I'm not getting a lot of feedback, but I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear how these tips are helping you. And and so that's pretty much what I wanted to talk to you about today. So those two types of conflict again, one is they're physical issues that when they're not met can lead to conflict. And you can preempt those by recognizing, oh, I might have a physical need for sleep, or a physical need for food, or a physical desire for sex. Those things can create conflict when those needs are not being met. The second thing are emotional needs for security, needs for significance. These are all these are a little hard. Those are a little bit harder, but sometimes they can lead to conflict. That's hard to put a pin on. Say, what was it? What is he thinking? And then it all goes back to communicate. Tell me how you're feeling today. Not like, are you good? Try not to ask yes and no questions. Ask questions that create conversation and communication. Try when you're around your partner. I know life can be so busy and so distracting, especially if you have little kids at home, or if you're both working long hours or different hours. Sometimes all you want to do is just fall into bed and go to sleep. But try to take a few minutes every day to connect with your partner. Try do those long hugs. Smile at that person when you are talking to them. Don't just like, yeah, yeah, I got you. Yeah, what were you thinking again? You know what I mean? Anyway, thank you so much for watching today. I hope that you are having an amazing day, and I can't wait to talk to you again next Friday on Marriage Focus Fridays. Have a wonderful time, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.